Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ted Rowlands. Good to be with you on a Thursday. Boy, what a week it's been so far. We're in Virginia this morning again for the au pair affair murder trial for Brendan Banfield. Testimony wrapped up yesterday with the state's star witness on the stand, the Banfield family au pair, Juliana Magalhaes, who testified that the affair with Banfield and the subsequent plot to kill Banfield's wife, Christine, was all his idea. She said that he masterminded the plan that involved luring this man that he found on a fetish dating website to come to their home and then stage a double murder. Let's go back into the courtroom now, where the lead detective is on the stand and testifying to evidence collected at the scene. The jury watching some pretty gruesome, bloody crime scene photos.
Did you happen to, in your review of the body-worn camera, see where the towel was when first responders arrived?
It was a little bit further away from the bed. When the first responders came, you could see the bed linens and things from firemen, patrol officers were trying to do life-saving. Those linens and stuff started to roll and move towards the bed more.
Was this towel on Christine Banfield?
No, ma'am.
Does this towel have any evidence of heavy staining or blood absorption?
In my opinion, no, ma'am.
So these blankets were moved as the officers addressed Christine Banfield's injuries and attempted to rescue Joe Ryan. Could the blankets that we saw a moment ago have transferred blood to the carpet as they were moved?
Yes.
Were they saturated?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there was a lot of blood on those items.
Yes, ma'am.
Could have ended up on the carpet as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So looking at the carpet, can you approximate here where Christine Banfield's body was found? This is Commonwealth's 111.
I used body-worn camera. I watched the body-worn camera to determine that. And it would be the stain that you see on the right-hand side. That was the vicinity of her head.
What did you find when you removed the carpet relative to these stains?
What I ended up doing was we pulled the carpet back. Our question was we wanted to see how far down the stains would go. And when we did that, we found that the stain on the left-hand side, underneath the carpet is a foam pad, and then you got the subfloor. The blood soaked through the carpet, through the foam pad, and then onto the subfloor and created another stain there. The stain on the right, same scenario, again, is soaking down through. But when we got to the subfloor, there was just a little stain, a much smaller stain than what we found from the stain on the left-hand side.
So to summarize, there was more blood deposited in the stain on the left-hand side than the right.
Yes, ma'am.
You need your microphone, Mr. Carroll. I cannot hear it.
I would object to Ms. Sand's conclusion as to what the detectives just commented on in terms of her question.
What's the objection?
Well, I believe it's without foundation, and I believe that she's leading.
No, overruled. All right, good. Continue.
Let's talk about the areas of the carpet that you had tested. Looking at this photograph, and we'll zoom in just a moment, but did you have either of these two large stains tested?
No, ma'am.
Okay, why not?
When I presented to the state lab with the evidence that I had, they didn't see the probative value in it.
All right. Did they give you any explanation for why?
Because her body was there.
Okay. So looking at Commonwealth's 112, did you take swabs from the stains on the carpet that we see here?
Yes, ma'am. If you take where the scale is at and come below it.
All right, that large
Yes, ma'am.
stamp, if you will.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and was that item 42?
That was item 42. I did another swab, which would have been item 43. If you come above the scale you'll see another stain in there. What I did is I took another sample from the center of it.
And when we're talking about these two stains, to distinguish, we've got 43, and the shape of 43 is different from 42, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how would you describe 43 as a stain?
As a stain to me, it was passive blood droplets falling down onto
Okay.
the carpet.
And what was different about 42? What kind of stain was that?
42 was one large concentrated stain.
Thank you. I'm going to direct your attention to Commonwealth's 113. Did you find a knife?
Yes, ma'am.
And where was the knife found?
The knife was found underneath the blankets, between the edge of the blankets and the bed. And the only thing we could see when we arrived was the handle. And the knife was sitting on its backside, so it was blade up. And then the handle was towards the bed.
Did your review of the body-worn camera tell you anything about the final position of the knife?
This is not the original position of the knife.
Okay, so what did you observe on body-worn? I think we've all seen it too and talked about it, but what did you observe on body-worn?
On body-worn camera, the blankets were, if you're viewing this photo, the blankets have been more to the left. The knife was completely exposed. And you could see during the life-saving that officers and firemen stepped on the knife a few times and they got kicked and moved around as they were trying to work.
Okay. Did you collect this item?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you send it to the lab for testing as item 10?
Yes, ma'am.
Going to have you look at Commonwealth's 114. Is that the knife and the photograph that accompanied it to the lab?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. So let's talk about guns. Commonwealth's 115. Did you observe any weapons at the scene other than the knife?
Yes, ma'am. There was 2 handguns.
Okay, can you describe those 2 items for me?
One gun was a Glock 19M with a light kit on it, and the second one was a Glock 43X.
All right, is this photograph of the 19M?
Yes, ma'am.
And the flashlight, you mentioned the light on it that you said, is that the red ring that
Yes.
we see at the end?
Yes, ma'am. It's the light kit. It's a flashlight underneath the barrel of the gun.
Okay. Were you able to identify who owned that weapon?
It was Mr. Brendan Banfield's duty weapon.
Where was it located upon your arrival?
When I arrived, it was on the left side of the bed, about halfway, resting on its right side.
Again, after reviewing body-worn camera, were you able to determine if that gun had been moved?
It was moved, ma'am.
All right, do you know where it was moved from?
It was moved from the front left corner of the bed. It was resting on its left side with the grip portion near the closest to the edge.
Okay, if we're looking at the bed, if I'm standing at the foot of the bed, is it on my right or is it on the left?
Be on your right.
On my right, okay, perfect, thank you. Looking at Commonwealth's 116, orienting myself, this is the primary bed, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and on the right hand of this photo, is that where you observed the gun?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, on the body-worn camera?
Yes.
Okay, and was there any residue on this sheet?
There was 2 blood stains on that bed. The one on the right near the edge, and then there's another one on the front edge. And that was from medical waste. Because when I picked up that evidence, that when we were clearing off the bed, when I picked up those items, there was blood on them.
Okay, did you send this sheet to the lab for testing?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'll show you Commonwealth's 117. Did you make the markings on the photo here?
Yes, ma'am.
Red that we see? What were you intending to communicate with the markings that you have on the sheet?
I spoke with the state lab about what we were requesting for stains, and because I knew the one was from medical waste, there was no need to process that because we know where it came from, the point of origin. But the one on the right-hand side is the one I wanted. And so I sent this so they could have a reference to what I was talking to them about and showing it to them.
Okay. If you had just sent the big old sheet to the lab without any specifics, what would have been the response?
They would have started processing the whole
Okay.
sheet.
All right, thank you. So, Commonwealth's 119. What do we see photographed here?
That was more blood spatter on the wall.
Did you swab those items and send them, that item and send it to the lab?
Yes, ma'am. I took that largest stain you see to the left of the ruler. That's the one I submitted to the lab.
Ms.
Okay, and that was,
I'm sorry, you said 119, but it says 118.
oh, I'm sorry, 118, Your Honor.
Okay, thank
Almost
you.
118. I
Okay,
apologize.
that's all right, I just want to make sure. Go ahead, I apologize.
Thank you. And this is now Commonwealth's 119. Is that a closer photograph of the same stain?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and again, that was sent to the lab as item 39.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. One more here. Commonwealth's 120. What did you process in this photograph?
This would be the laundry basket, and what we're looking at is in this photo is the front of that laundry basket. Again, I took a swab of its blood stains on here, and if you go down bottom center, you can see a convergence of two stains of blood spatter, and that's where I took the sample for the lab.
All right, and was that,
This bedroom, which was just the day-to-day laundry basket, now crime scene with blood everywhere, jury absorbing it all. Let's get a break. We'll get you back into the courtroom with more of the case against this man, Brendan Banfield, who the Commonwealth of Virginia believes plotted to kill his wife. Stay with us.
What are you reporting?
Fire. The tragic murder of Keith Canero and his entire family.
The defendant repeatedly shot and killed his brother and then moved to murder the rest of the family inside the home.
Their sprawling mansion set on fire.
Paul and Keith were not only brothers, but business partners.
This one is the most brutal case that I've seen in my experience here.
The Mansion Murders Trial. Live coverage today on Court TV.
I would give my life for his, and I would never do anything to hurt him or against him. Whatever they're saying, whatever they want to believe, I don't care. I would take the blame for both of us. I would do anything for you. If they want me to turn against you, if they think or whatever they believe, and if they want to blame me for that, that's okay. I can take the blame. I'll never do anything to hurt you or against you.
Juliana Magalhaes, the au pair, vowing at that point to take the blame in the double murder involving her lover's wife and another man. But just 10 months later, right before trial, the former Banfield au pair would flip on the defendant, Brendan Banfield, and she marched into the courtroom and gave her version of events, deciding to take the plea and testify in exchange. Let's go back to the courtroom now, where a lead detective is on the stand testifying to the bloody crime scene photos.
all right, and was that sent to the lab as item 41?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you took another swab of the laundry basket, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And while this photo doesn't necessarily zoom in on it, describe for us from where you took the second swab on the laundry basket.
The second swab would have been on the left-hand side and be the side furthest from the dresser on the curtain side.
All right, and that's Commonwealth's 121 that we're looking at?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that went to the lab as item 56, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Commonwealth's 122. What do we see depicted here?
This would be the dog bed once Joe Ryan's body was removed.
And again, that black checkered item was determined to be Christine's pajama bottoms, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I see there's some black fabric to the left as well. What is that?
That's the underwear, ma'am.
Okay. Did you inspect those items?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you make any observations about them apart from the blood?
Apart from the blood, one pant leg was inside out, and the other pant leg had the underwear around it. If you took the crotch region of the underwear, it was torn, ripped, separated from the other side.
All right. And Judge, if I can terminate the display for just a moment. I'm going to take you back to Commonwealth's 105, which was previously admitted, not under seal. Judge, if this can be displayed to the witness and the jury in the gallery.
Okay.
Detective Leach, there's a piece of black fabric to the left in the photograph near the edge of the bed. What was that?
It was a black shirt.
Okay. Did you make any observations about that shirt other than the fact that it had blood on it?
When we took the shirt and lifted it up and was able to document it better, we found that the back of the shirt was completely cut. It wasn't one smooth cut. You could tell it was jagged because you would have a cut, little pull, cut, pulling it up.
All right. Was it in the center of the shirt that it was cut? Was it to the side?
I'd say center. It was more towards the center.
Okay. And Judge, I'm going to ask to terminate the display. Offer into evidence Commonwealth's 123 and 124 under seal.
All right, and no objection again, correct?
No objection.
123 and 124 under seal.
All right, Detective Leach, if the court can publish the photos to the jury and the witness. Tell me about this photograph. We see again, we're back to Joseph Ryan. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What is it that is next to Mr. Ryan's left hip, partially under him?
It would have been a black slide and a shoe, slide on shoe, and a backpack.
All right. Did you search that backpack?
After we finished with Mr. Ryan's body and we were able to move him out of the way, yes.
I'm going to take you to Commonwealth's 124. Is this a zoomed in photo of that bag?
Just trying to show the property that was in it at the time, how it was when we found it.
Okay. So if that's how it was when you found it, did you put anything back into that bag before taking this photo?
No, ma'am, that's exactly how it was.
All right. In your review of the body worn camera, did you see anyone on body worn put anything back into that bag?
Not that I could observe, ma'am.
Okay. And Judge, I would now move to admit Commonwealth's 125 and publish to the witness, the jury, and the gallery.
All right, 125 in evidence.
And Judge, I'm going to go ahead and ask to admit from 125 through 151.
Okay. 125 through 151, and there's no objection, correct? Okay.
Should be 151.
Okay.
No objection, okay. So then we have 125 through 151 in evidence. Okay.
All right. So looking at Commonwealth's 125, is this the backpack after you removed the items from it?
Yes, ma'am.
What observations did you make about the backpack?
Once we opened up the backpack, this would be the photo showing the back of the pack from the it's the back inside compartment of the backpack, and there was blood spatter on there.
Okay, so if I open the bag with my two hands and spread it wide apart, this is looking inside the bag.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
correct? Okay. And what are those marks?
That's the blood spatter, ma'am.
All right. You placed circles in this photo. Did you make those circles?
That's stitching.
I'm sorry, the red lines.
Oh, the red lines, the circles, yes, ma'am. I did that for again, this was something I sent out to the state lab. And so I wanted to know what I was referencing when I asked for the exam.
Okay. Did you send that to the lab as item 125? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's talk about the contents of the bag, Commonwealth's 126. What did you find inside?
We took the backpack and we laid out everything and did one overall photo as we inventoried through. And what you see is there's like rubber exercise bands, a metal rod with eyelets in it, lubricant, clothespins, a chain with padlocks with the keys in them, a roll of electrical tape, like a COVID mask, an apricot, and then one that I could refer to like almost like a gag.
Okay.
Oof, Joseph Ryan's work backpack. Let's bring in Cannon Kearney. He's in New York. Cannon, what's your take on this case?
Well, good morning, Ted. This case is a doozy because, Joseph Ryan, a.k.a. Taco Supreme 9000, it appears that his life was taken for no reason at all. This case is going to come down to credibility of the witnesses. Who do you trust more? Do you trust the au pair, whose life is on the line, who could be deported back to Brazil, who could lose her ability to freely be in America? Or do you trust the husband who was having an affair with the au pair, who coincidentally was gone from the house at the time that Mr. Ryan arrived and came back at the right time to shoot him dead? So all of these different questions the jurors are going to have to ask themselves when they're listening to the witnesses testify. I think it's going to also come down to ESI, or the data that's being shown from the different sites that they were using in order to get Mr. Ryan to the house. Were these done at times in which the husband was with the wife? Were these done at time in which the wife was away from the home? All of these different questions will have to be answered, but as usual in a murder that is as horrific as this, it's gonna come down to which witness do you trust the most.
Yeah, there's only, I guess, 3 scenarios that this was the wife Christine's fetish and this was all her, and Ryan came in and he ended up killing her instead of just raping her. Might be hard to believe. Or the au pair organized the whole thing and Joseph Ryan was none the wiser but came in with his gun to save the day. Or what the state believes, the Commonwealth, that these two hatched this horrible plan. How can a member of law enforcement, if indeed he's guilty, think that he's going to get away with murder, especially when he's having an affair? Ugh.
It's so unfortunate, Ted, but essentially in the moment when you are having this love triangle, when you're having this affair, you're only thinking about your selfish wants. And so he was thinking about simply getting rid of his wife so he could continue on with the au pair. Unfortunately, he didn't think out the fact that they were going to ask questions, that there was going to be an investigation, or if he did, he wasn't using the correct brain. So at this point, I would say that we have to get a little bit more information from the detectives as to what they saw, as to the investigation, as to the interviews that they've had. And I believe that more likely than not, they will have to show some form of cooperation between the electronic information that went through the sites that were used for a day with the defendant.
Yeah, and a lot of that, and usually we watch the computer guy get up there and we all fall asleep. No, this is going to be good because we're going to actually see how much activity was done from Christine's phone. And if this is a one and done, had she never done anything like this before, that will also hit home with jurors. We'll get a break. When we come back, we'll have more from the crime scene and those photos as the lead detective goes over it all with the jury as the Commonwealth builds their case brick by brick against Brendan Banfield. Before we head back into the courtroom in Virginia, let's quickly check in on New Jersey, where it is day 4 of the Mansion murders trial for defendant Paul Canaro. He's facing multiple charges, including 4 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of his brother Keith and his brother's entire family. Prosecutors say he murdered Keith's wife, Jennifer, and the kids, 2 kids, before setting their house on fire. He faces life in prison if convicted. Earlier today, a former fire marshal took the stand to talk about his initial discussion with Paul Canaro after the fire.
How long was that second conversation with Mr. Canaro from the first conversation?
30 minutes, roughly.
Did you ask him if he owned any gas cans?
I did.
What was his response?
I had 5 or 6.
Did he say where?
The shed.
Okay. Did you ask him anything else about the shed?
I asked him when the last time he was in the shed, and he couldn't remember.
Did you ask him any questions about anything else over by that area of the garage?
I asked him about the smudge on the car. And
What was his response?
He wasn't aware of that either.
Okay. And did you indicate which car you were talking about when you spoke to him?
I don't know if I broke the 2 cars down. If I did, it was, I would have said it was that car, but the car closest to the pool, but I'm not sure if I broke it down.
Did you ask him any other questions?
I was told that he burned his hands. So I asked, he burned your hands? He just said no. I hit them on the door when he was going through the front door.
Okay. One hand or 2 hands? Do you remember what he said?
I don't. He just said I didn't burn my hands.
We'll be keeping a close eye on that courtroom, along with other courtrooms around the country, and to keep you updated throughout the day. But right now, back to Virginia, day 3, the Au Pair affair murder trial. The defendant, Brendan Banfield, he's facing life if convicted in the murder of his wife back in 2023. His wife, Christine, and another man, Joseph Ryan, were killed after prosecutors say these 2 came up with a crazy plan to set up a double murder using a fake rape scenario. Let's go back into the courtroom now. Crime scene photos, lead detective on the stand.
Commonwealth's 127, is this the receipt that was found in the bag?
No, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Commonwealth's 127, a receipt that was found in the wallet?
That was found in Joe Ryan's wallet.
Yes, okay. And we can see the wallet underneath the receipt, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that wallet listing out personal lubricant, floss sticks, and apricot?
Yes,
is that
ma'am.
correct? 1 apricot? All right, and that receipt is dated the same day of your
It's the same
investigation?
date, yes, ma'am, the 24th.
February 24th, 2023. Okay. Did you find, obviously, this wallet, but anything else outside of the backpack that might have been personal belongings of Mr. Ryan's?
Well, I found his coat. His coat was actually underneath his legs near his buttocks area. We took his coat. We found his car keys in the front right pocket, and his wallet was in the front left pocket.
Okay. You also found zip ties, is that correct?
There was zip ties found on the floor, yes.
Okay. Directing your attention to Commonwealth's 128. Okay, this is an interesting photo. Tell us about it. What do we have here?
This is a sheet that's been suspended and it's being fluoresced with a laser.
Why do you fluoresce a sheet with a laser?
We're looking for body fluids.
And did you find them?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did the sheet come from?
This is the fitted sheet from the au pair's bedroom.
From the au pair's bedroom. This is Juliana's bed sheet, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you mark this item with the body fluids with the location of the body fluids that you found?
Yes, ma'am. I was going for a lab submission, so I marked those stains that I found for the lab personnel.
All right, and looking at Commonwealth's 129, is this a photograph of the markings that you made on the sheet to identify the
Yes,
body
ma'am.
fluid? Okay. Was that sent to the lab as item 65?
Yes, ma'am.
Turning your attention to Commonwealth's 130, what have you photographed here?
This was Brendan Banfield's clothing.
Okay, and what were the articles of clothing that were collected?
It was a set of his blue jeans, button-down shirt, and a black coat.
And you've put them on a dummy here in approximation to how Mr. Banfield was dressed on the day of the murder, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I used the body-worn camera.
Perfect, okay. What did you do with these items once you had taken this photo?
Some of the coat and the jeans all both went to the state lab.
Okay. Did you mark the jacket for the areas that you wish to have tested?
No, ma'am, this is once it came back from the lab.
Aha. All right. So how did you present this item to the lab?
I presented this one. This one was because of the color. It's hard to see the blood and everything on it. I submitted it to the lab. I said, gave them a synopsis of what happened. And I just gave them the whole as a whole. And this is what they marked out.
All right. So those markings that we see were the selections that the lab made for their testing. Is that correct?
That would be my understanding, ma'am.
Okay. And this was sent to the lab as item 121. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Commonwealth's 132, we see specifically 2 circles. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And do we know what the lab tested for there?
They were testing for blood.
Item 133, what is this a photograph of?
It's going to be Mr. Banfield's blue jeans.
Okay, tell me about the white L's that we see taped to the jeans. What are those?
It was requested by me, requested for me to take and do. It's called road mapping of the stains. And all you simply do is you take the item and you put down the scales in so many distances apart. There was no set distance, but you just want to make sure you got plenty of scales. Doesn't necessarily mean there's a stain there. We're just trying to document to scale the entire object.
Okay, so they're reference points, is that fair?
That'd be a way of referring to them, yes, ma'am.
Okay. What did you observe about these pants?
That they had blood stains on them.
All right, any particular staining patterns that you observed?
There was the blood stains on the knee area, and then there was a particular stain which someone pointed out and they requested for me to submit that to the lab.
All right, so we're gonna look at Commonwealth's 134. This now has a circle imposed on the photo. Tell me what that circle is indicating.
Again, this is something that's going to the lab. We discussed it. It's obvious with the pants, there's lots of staining. This was the particular stain that the graphs requested to be processed.
Okay, and zoomed in here, tell me about that stain. Was it different than the staining on the knees?
Most of the stains that you saw in the pants were like almost like smears, smudges, like they came in contact with blood. This was droplets.
All right, were there more droplets on the pants?
Yes.
But this was the area that was selected for testing?
Yes, ma'am.
And again, that was Commonwealth's 135 that we're looking at for those markings. Taking a look at Commonwealth's 136, tell me about this red circle.
This is on the back of the jeans. It'd be to the left of center, just below the belt line or close to being in the belt line.
And was that item sent along with the other request for testing by the lab?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that one went to the lab as 136. I'm sorry, as all, these were all sent to the lab as 123, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, photo 136, also item 123. Sorry for any confusion. All right, and looking at Commonwealth's 137, what do we have here?
It's that same stain with the drop, just a different angle on it. You're showing it more from the inside the leg outward.
All right, let's slip in a commercial break here. We'll get you back into this courtroom in the Commonwealth of Virginia when we return. Stay with us.
Did an affair lead to double murder?
The Commonwealth's Attorney's Office has secured an indictment against Brendan Banfield for the murder of his wife, Christine, and the murder of Mr. Ryan.
Prosecutors allege the defendant planned to run away with the family's au pair. So he killed his wife and another man.
He was saying, I'm gonna kill her, I'm gonna kill her.
It's a case of sex, lies, and deadly deception.
The Au Pair Affair murder trial. Live coverage today on Court TV.
Let's head back to Virginia, where we're watching day 3 of the au pair affair murder trial. Prosecutors say that the defendant here, Brendan Banfield, plotted with his family's au pair, Juliana Maglis, to kill his wife, Christine, and another man, Joseph Ryan. Back to the courtroom we go now, listening to more testimony from lead detective Terry Leach.
All right. Did you have the opportunity to take a look at Mr. Banfield's shoes?
Yes, ma'am.
Almost 138. Are these the shoes that were collected from Mr. Banfield?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you make any observations about what was on those shoes?
There was staining on the shoes, on the tops, but there's also staining on the bottom and into the treads.
Commonwealth's 139. What do we have here?
This would be Juliana's left shoe and sock.
Okay. And we're going to look. Is this the right shoe and sock?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you observe blood on the shoes and socks?
There was blood on the shoes. On the shoes, it was primarily around the soles, around the edges of the soles and underneath the shoe. On the socks, there was red staining.
Okay. You sent the socks to the lab as 117 and the shoes as 118. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the staining on the socks, where on the sock was it? Was it on the top of the sock? Was it on the bottom of the sock?
It was in the toe region, the toe area. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily on the top or on the bottom because of, it's like it looked like it leached a little bit or there was some.
All right. And here we have the bottom of the left shoe. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about your observations on this shoe with regards to the location of the blood.
Blood was towards the toe area. Mine was towards the toes. You can also see that the blood went up inside the tread.
That was 141, correct?
I'm sorry. Yes, Your Honor. That was Commonwealth's 141. Thank you. Now looking at Commonwealth's 142, what were your observations regarding the blood on this shoe?
The shoe, the blood was only really near the bottom edges. It's on the rubber sole part. Wasn't up onto the leathers.
All right. Did the socks create a bit of a puzzle for you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And what did you do to try to answer questions you had about the blood on the socks?
She had blood on her socks, and I couldn't figure out how they got there. So I took her shoes, because as you can see from the photo, there's holes, air holes for the sneakers. I didn't know if by chance blood might have went down into those holes. So what I ended up doing was I took the shoe, I cut around sole in the leather part of the shoe so I could lift up and see inside the shoe.
What did you discover upon taking apart the shoes?
There was no staining.
All right. Did you send anything else off to the lab? I'm going to show you Commonwealth's 143. What is this?
That is the insert from the left shoe.
Okay. Why did you send that to the lab?
That dark area is circled, and this is the photo that I gave to the lab, and they knew what I was talking about. That tested positive for blood.
Okay. And so that was sent to the lab as item 118. It didn't have a separate designation from shoes 118. It went back to the lab as 118.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
correct? Okay. Did Juliana's sweatshirt, t-shirt, or pants have any blood on them?
Not that I could find, ma'am.
All right, let's look at Joseph Ryan's clothing. Commonwealth's 149. This t-shirt, what, if anything, did you observe about the shirt?
It had the blood staining. A lot of it was near the chest area. You can see it's not like any individual stain. Also, if you come down, as you look at the photo, it'll be on the right-hand side. It's right above the G and the H and Howie's name there. There's a defect.
I've zoomed in and I'm aiming my cursor where you're talking. Is that what you observed?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to determine how that defect occurred?
It appeared it was coming from a projectile, from a bullet.
Commonwealth's 150. What do we have here?
This is Joe's pants.
Okay. What did you do with regard to Joe's pants after photographing?
After photographing, we met with the state lab, and we discussed different options for processing. On this one, because of the way the pants were situated on his body, I had questions about the zipper button area. The lab recommended an MVAC, but they don't have one. So this item was sent to DNA Labs International to be processed.
All right. And so that was regarding the zipper, the button, and the waistband, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Were the genes sent to any other labs for other testing?
Yes. The right leg was sent to the whole pants was sent to Bodie Laboratories, but we requested the stain on the right pant leg to have a technique done that the state lab doesn't do.
Okay.
And so we sent it to them to have them process it in an attempt to see if we can generate any more evidence out of it.
All right. So Bodie tested the stains on the pant leg, and DLI tested the zipper, the button, and the waistband. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you have any other questions about these genes that could have been answered by the state lab? Or did you feel it was necessary to send them to the other two labs for the specific testing that you've discussed?
This was a specific testing because those stains, we're just trying to figure out what caused them, what and what formed them.
Okay. All right. Judge, I'm not sure what time the court wanted to take the morning break.
It's a little early still.
It is. My next bit is a little bit lengthy, and we can break after that, but it will be approximately 30 minutes. I have video to share with the detective.
Okay. That was the morning session there. They took the break. Ken and Kearney watching along with us. That bedroom just turns into a bloody mess. And the Commonwealth put the au pair on first, before this, strategically, so the jurors in the back of their mind, I suppose, would be thinking that, oh, this was all schemed up by, the defendant, and it becomes even more disgusting.
Yes, Ted, it's definitely a sick scene. It's definitely something that the jurors, I would assume, are not having a good time seeing all of the blood, seeing all of the jeans with blood on it, all of the different articles of clothing, the carpet, all of these different things would, a reasonable person would not want to just be in the courtroom seeing this. So they're taking this very seriously. And they also are going to be looking at all of the evidence to say someone died here for no reason at all. So all of these different things will be taken into effect, and this is why the prosecution is hitting hard on this to get a conviction.
Why the no divorce thing? Where does that come from? Why do people shy away from divorces? Because they want their cake and eat it too. They want the cash, and they don't want to be perceived as the guy that divorced the wife with a kid.
Well, that's a good way to look at it, Ted. There's many different reasons people don't want to get divorced. Maybe it's religious. Whatever religion that they may practice doesn't approve of divorce. As you said, it's the cash. Maybe he didn't want to cut the check so that his wealth goes down, and now he has to share it with somebody that he no longer loves and holds in high regards. All of these different things are reasons why the defendant did what he did, and we'll see what the jury comes back with.
Yeah.
With a conviction or acquittal.
All right, Cannon, thank you. What about thou shalt not kill? Religion don't like murder either. Let's get a break. We'll get back more from Virginia. Stay with us. Welcome back to Court TV Live. Good to be with you on this Thursday. We're tracking several trials across the country this afternoon here at Court TV. In Virginia, the state's case continues for the man accused of conspiring with his au pair, his family au pair, to kill his wife and another man. We'll get back to that courtroom momentarily. In Texas, the state expected to arrest their case in chief today for the former Uvalde school officer who's accused of failing to confront a school shooter. In New Jersey, testimony continues for a man accused of killing his brother and his brother's family, then setting their house on fire. And in Georgia, the fate of Susan Embert will soon be in the hands of a jury as prosecutors try her for a third time now in the death of her husband. She claimed that her husband shot himself. We'll keep our eyes on all of those courtrooms, but we're back to Virginia. More of the Au Pair affair murder trial for Brendan Banfield. Let's go back into the courtroom and pick it up where we left off after the conclusion of the morning break with the lead detective.
And I'm going to go back for just 1 second. We left one out. Detective Leach, I'm going to have you look at Commonwealth's 151. I would offer this into evidence if it has not yet been.
It is in evidence.
All right, wonderful. If that can be published. Detective Leach, this is, to back you up just a little bit, we're back on Joe's jeans. We've zoomed in here. You were talking about what specifically was sent to DLI.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain again what we see here and what you asked DLI to test and why?
DLI would be the zipper region in the area of the waistband around the buttons, the button and the buttonhole, and to the sides of them.
Okay. When you say the zipper, are you talking about the tines on the zipper or the pull?
The whole area, ma'am.
The whole area,
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
And why did you send that to DLI to be tested? Not
Yeah.
why DLI, but why did you send that to be tested?
Because of the way the pants were positioned on the body, to me, when we got there, the pants, you saw in the one photo how the pants were undone and down a little bit in the front. When we rolled Mr. Ryan's body to place him into the body bag, we found that his pants in the back were caught up on his butt. So it was caught up underneath his butt cheeks. And so to me, I didn't know if someone might have tried to manipulate the pants. I don't know. So my job is to find the answers.
Perfect. Thank you very much. All right. Give me just one moment. This time, Commonwealth would offer 152, 153, and 154 into evidence.
And no objection, correct? All right. 152, 153, and 154 in evidence. Thank you.
All right. So, to your knowledge, was surveillance video collected from the McDonald's restaurant located at 2475 Centerville Road in Herndon?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you see that pictured here on this fantastic Google map?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And it's labeled on the map. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are you aware of the distance of this McDonald's from the Banfield's home?
From the Banfield's home, there's a couple of different ways to get there, but they're all probably under 3 miles.
Okay, thank you. And Judge, I'm going to move to stipulated video clip 153, Commonwealth's 153. All right, this is the vantage point from the McDonald's drive-thru. Is that your understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and this car creeping in here, that's Mr. Banfield's car, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the timestamp on this video, to your understanding, is that the correct time, 7:18 a.m. on December 24th, 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and we just saw his car leave the drive-thru, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, and that's his car returning to the drive-thru, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we've changed camera angles and we now see Mr. Banfield's car here pulling up to the ordering area. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and changing angles again. We're at the pay window. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And we've changed angles now to the receiving window and exit area. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was a Honda Ridgeline. Now we have Mr. Banfield's car. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. The Hyundai.
Okay. Okay. So from this vantage, if you look in the top left, we see his car pulling out straight from the McDonald's drive-thru.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to take you back for just 1 second to our map. And I'm putting my cursor here over the drive-through pickup area. Is that your understanding of its location?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so we saw his vehicle exit in the direction of my cursor. Is that right? Just pulling straight out?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now Commonwealth's 1:53, our timestamp has moved on to 7:29, so it's been approximately 8 minutes, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And we see him.
154.
I'm sorry, 1:54, and we see him pulling into a parking spot.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's Mr. Banfield getting out of his car.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we've changed angles and we see him going into, do you understand that to be the bathroom of the McDonald's?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's at about 7:29 and 30 seconds-ish. And so I'm gonna try to move this on a little bit. We're going to go to 7:30. Just kind of advancing it in 30-second increments. He's still in the bathroom, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody else has gone in the bathroom. Is that what that looked like? That wasn't him,
Yes.
right? Okay. Okay, and someone's come out of the bathroom area. Still not Mr. Banfield. Okay, we've hit 7:37. So he's been in there for approximately 7 minutes at this point. Do we now see him exiting and on his phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And our camera angle shifts and we follow him still on his phone. out to his car. And is it 7:37 and approximately 30 seconds that he's getting in his car, still on the phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. He's backing out. And we see his vehicle leave the area, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And again, this angle from the window, you see him drive off, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then this angle, we see him head out onto the road, presumably towards home. And that's his black Hyundai turning left in the left side of this video.
Yes.
Is that correct? All right. Judge, if we can terminate the display for the moment. All right. Did you have the opportunity, as the guy who keeps all of the evidence, to take possession of Brendan and Juliana's cell phones?
Yes, ma'am, later on in the investigation.
Okay. And you have those here today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to ask that these items be marked as Commonwealth's 232 for identification purposes, Brendan Banfield's cell phone, and item 233, again for identification purposes, as Juliana Perez Magalhaes' cell phone. And if I can have those handed to the detective, please.
All right, how about that video? We went to the McDonald's to hang out and wait for the call. According to the Commonwealth of Virginia, it was all a ruse. It's hard to think that Christine is going to organize some weird rape fetish thing at 7:30 in the morning, just 2 minutes after her husband leaves for work and the au pair heads off to the zoo. Let's get a break. When we come back, more out of this Virginia courtroom. The cross-examination is coming with this lead detective. How aggressive will it be? Maybe more so than it was with the au pair? We'll find out.
Did an affair lead to double murder?
The Commonwealth's Attorney's Office has secured an indictment against Brendan Banfield for the murder of his wife, Christine, and the murder of Mr. Ryan.
Prosecutors allege the defendant planned to run away with the family's au pair. So he killed his wife and another man.
He was there, I'm gonna kill her, I'm gonna kill her.
It's a case of sex, lies, and deadly deception.
The Au Pair Affair murder trial. Live coverage today on Court TV.
Okay, in the Common Pleas Court of Clark County, Ohio, State of Ohio, plaintiff versus William Brock, defendant, case number 24CR0278, verdict form count 1. We, the jury, being duly impaneled and sworn, do find the defendant, William Brock, guilty of the murder of Lolita Hall.
In case you missed it, William Brock found guilty on all charges in connection to the murder of Lolita Hall. A jury deliberated only an hour and a half yesterday before finding the 83-year-old guilty of fatally shooting the Uber driver at his home. Brock took the stand during his trial. He testified that he had been duped by scammers, which he had, and believed that Hall was there to rob him, and so he shot her. A disposition scheduled for January 21st. We'll, of course, keep you updated on any developments there. In the meantime, let's head back to Virginia. Double murder trial. Brendan Banfield accused of conspiring with the au pair to kill his wife in an elaborate plot to frame a man that he found on a fetish dating website. Go back to the courtroom now. We're hearing from the lead detective.
And I am going to ask him to turn them on so that we can look at the screens. We do not have a way to ensure that they do not make noise in the courtroom if someone were to try to call one of the numbers.
I understand.
All right, so let's start with the Android, Mr. Banfield's phone.
Still charging, still powering up, ma'am.
I'm sorry?
It's still powering up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, ma'am, it's up. It's
All
working.
right, so if we take a look at 232, Your Honor, I'd like to put it on the projector, if I may, please.
Sure, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Are you still want to the witness, or are you going to admit it into evidence at this time?
I am not going to admit the phone into evidence. Judge, I'd like to have the jury be given the opportunity to look at it, and then I have still photographs taken of each of the screens that I will offer into evidence as 232 A, B, C, D, E, and F.
If it's not in evidence, the jury can't look at it.
I was under the impression that the court would not want the object with its password given to the jury to be able to manipulate for themselves, and so we have photographs of the screens. I can simply show those photographs if there is no objection to moving directly to those items.
Is there any objection just to moving to the photographs?
I've seen the website.
Okay, no objection.
Makes
Okay,
it
let's just
easy.
do that
Thank
then.
you. Thank you, Mr. Carroll. So then we are not going to display it. We are simply going to move to the photographs.
We're going to the photographs.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Sorry
Dr.
for the
Johnson.
confusion.
That's okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
If I may have the court's indulgence to pull up the
Yes, that's
pictures.
fine.
All right. So Judge, at this time, the Commonwealth would move to omit Commonwealth's 232A, a photograph of Brendan Banfield's phone screen call log.
No objection? No objection to our 232A.
All right, and if I can have that displayed to the witness, the jury, and the gallery. All right, Detective Leach, when you turned on the phone and worked your way over to the call log, is this what you saw?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and we can note that it has a record of calls from, at the top, we see February 24th, and then timestamps for each of the received or outgoing calls. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And we see an incoming call from Juliana at 7:37 a.m.
Yes.
We see an outgoing call twice to Christine Banfield at 7:38 a.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then within the same minute, another outgoing call to Juliana.
Yes.
And then again at 7:42, two more outgoing calls to Christine Banfield, correct?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then after that, it looks like just missed calls
Yes.
during times that we know Mr. Banfield to be interacting with law enforcement. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Judge, if we can terminate, I'll then move to 232B.
Okay.
Although somehow the picture is marked A. This is B, despite its title. All right. If we can then offer into evidence Commonwealth's 233, it is 233A.
So not 232B?
Nope, it is 233A.
Okay, 233A.
Yep, 232 being Mr. Banfield's phone, 233 being Juliana Perez Magalhaes' phone.
But 233A.
233A, all right. And if everyone can take a look at this. All right, Detective Leach, is this the call log that shows up when you turn on Juliana's phone?
Yes, it is, ma'am.
Okay, and we can see a handful of calls that occurred on the 24th. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Commonwealth would next offer 233B into evidence.
All right, so we're going to get a break, but first, in St. Paul, Minnesota, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Jack Rice is with us. Jack, great to see you. This is a, wow, a head scratcher. It's so elaborate, the scheme. Has so many holes in it, though, including the basic. Like, did you think everyone was just going to believe that your wife, Christine, ordered a rape at 7:30 in the morning? Depending on what lens you're looking at it through, it's horrible what he has allegedly done. Now the defense is banking on the lens that the investigators had at the beginning, where half of the detective force believed in this fellow law enforcement officer and ended up getting moved off of the case. Your thoughts as we sit here? It's still the state's case. Overall thoughts on how the Commonwealth is doing.
Ted, when we look at where we are, you're watching a very thorough investigation, and you're watching these step-by-step processes. It's about showing competence. It's about showing ability and a thoroughness to show you're not rushing to judgment. You're doing everything that needs to be done. I mean, look at the effectiveness of showing him at the McDonald's. You're looking at a timeline. You're watching where he is, what he's doing, when he picks up the phone, and now you're moving on to the calls that he was making, the calls he was receiving, and then to Juliana's calls that she was making and she was receiving. The real purpose is to do exactly that, to show that this myopic view that he was trying to sell to the police just isn't working, and the holes are getting bigger and deeper and deeper and deeper.
Juliana was very close to trial, just weeks when she finally flipped out of frustration with her attorney. Had she gone to trial without him, with just her sitting at that defendant's seat, you could argue that she had a legit shot of being found not guilty, and the two of them are off living their fantasy.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, if we think about what we have, this is the star witness for the state. This is the problem. When you don't have eyewitnesses, and they have essentially a closed circle, it's what happens between the two. And if you can't figure out what's going on, and without her breaking away, what you have is that closed circuit. And the light comes on for the two of them. But when she steps aside and the circuit opens up, the light goes out. And frankly, her ability to testify, when you have a co-defendant who testifies before a jury, and if she comes across as credible, that is the most critical and frankly brutal piece of evidence that the defense almost ever faces, because they can take you on the inside. And that inside view is what the jury really, really wants to see.
Yeah, and having her on pretty early in the case was brilliant too, because now everything is framed with her voice in the back of your mind if you're a juror, and you're like, these horrible people, look what they did, look at the blood. I think they're doing a fantastic job, the Commonwealth.